I wanted to talk about corruption and power because boy, oh boy, is that making headlines in the US. Now, you've got New York Mayor Eric Adams. He was in court yesterday answering foreign bribery charges. I heard one commentator said that in this particular district in New York, they nearly always win the case. The prosecution nearly always wins the case. And he was saying if he was advising Eric Adams, he'd say, look, I'll step down or something like that. But this is just the tip of the iceberg because it's not just him, is it? There's people who've worked with him, and it's about accepting travel and gifts through the Turkish government, soliciting illegal foreign contributions into his campaign. There's wire fraud, bribery, that he solicited free and heavily discounted foreign luxury travel. And then you've got one of his number actually involved in a bribery or a corruption case about, supplying or pretending or whatever, supplying housing to people in need and all sorts of deals being done there. This is a big one. When is it a gift from either a billionaire or a foreign, royalty or whoever? And when is it a bribe?
Well, first of all, there are restrictions on public officials typically on what they can accept. And typically the dollar amount is low, maybe $25 equivalent, something like that.
Wow.
Like, for example, it depends upon where you are. Sometimes say a president might get some sort of a gift like a ceremonial sword from somebody in a foreign country, but that's not a bribe. But again, there are also disclosure requirements, which is one of the things Adams did not do here. And so his case is a little different. And I think actually what is more than the bribery case, it's the way the contributions were made. In the U.S., foreigners cannot make campaign contributions to state or federal public officials. They can't use straw donors. In other words, a third party to make a donor. Corporations can't make, or countries can't make donations. And so those are the real crux of the case here. The foreign bribery, the luxury travel and stuff, that's bad. But if you look, that's actually the last count in the indictment. But no, it's a big problem. There's a more dramatic case that actually was prosecuted again by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney's Office by Senator Bob Menendez, who, when they searched his home, they found gold bars that purportedly were given to him by the government of Israel, government of Egypt. When I was in the U.S. Attorney's Office here, I was chief of the corruption section, and I will tell you that prosecuting a public official is the most difficult case to prove, and I'll tell you why. A couple of reasons. Number one, as you pointed out, there is a murky line in some cases between a bribe and a gift, and also a public official is typically someone who got where they are because they're good at convincing people that they're good people, and so sometimes they're difficult cases to try. And Adam's lawyer, in fact, said, this is a case about, illegal upgrades, or upgrades to foreign travel, which is kind of nonsense, but that's his position. But when it's a bribe and when it's a gift is a tough call. What we're also seeing, and I want to turn it over to Joseph, but there's a lot of cases in the U.S. where using the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, where companies and individuals are charged routinely for bribing foreign public officials for getting contracts in foreign countries. I was involved in a case involving a light rail project in Qatar. It was a 4-year investigation. Finally, the SEC and the DOJ didn't prosecute the company, or there was a substantial forfeiture that was imposed, but the individual who was involved in the bribe was in fact prosecuted. But those cases are, I would say, more frequently prosecuted, and there is a real issue as to whether something's a gift or something's a bribe.
Absolutely.
So,
Let me just go over to Joseph. Joseph, the way I what made me ask about this, is it a gift or is it a bribe? In our headlines in the UK, lots of headlines about Sir Keir Starmer accepting gifts from Lord Ali, some £32,000, in use of his apartment in the US, and other politicians. This is clothing, glasses and what have you. Lord Ali he's not now, head of ASOS, but how do you know if there's a billionaire or somebody, what if Elon Musk, but he wouldn't because they're not friends at the moment, said to Sir Keir Starmer, well, borrow my jet or what have you. Yes, they have to disclose it, but even if they disclose it, how do you know it's not, almost an unspoken nudge, nudge?
Yeah, well, first of all, the necessity of disclosure rules are really important, Trisha, and the reason for that is a democratic check, that transparency with our political leaders, that if they take money that you don't like, your remedy, if the courts don't work, is you don't vote them in again. But I do think we do have a problem with a kind of soft corruption in that respect. Clearly, Labour Party politicians who all seem to have been bang at it in terms of these little freebies and buy me clothes because that's okay, I don't have to declare it. It looks like, to my untrained eye, not knowing the ins and outs of what they were up to in the Labour Party, but certainly with my training as a lawyer, as if they were kind of under the mistaken apprehension that it was some kind of loophole. But I have to say, what really concerns me in this country, and the same can't be said in the US, and sometimes we do a bit of playful US Constitution bashing over the partisanship and whether one politician will get prosecuted by another if they're part of the same party. Interestingly, the Eric Adams case, they all seem to be either Democrats or or the FBI. It's a federal institution, similarly the US attorney, and we know, of course, who's in power at the moment. But what concerns me in the UK is we don't have actually criminal prosecutions for corruption, and one would think that there must be some rotten apples out there. What does that mean? Does that mean that inherently we must be less corrupt, or actually does it mean we're less vigilant? I have to say, I'm convinced slowly over the years that the absence of high-profile corruption trials against people who have budgets at their discretion, public money worth billions, millions, and sometimes billions, that the fact that we have never really seen in the modern era a prosecution for corruption, rather than just the tabloid splash. So-and-so did this and got this free flight or got a quick passport. That makes me actually a little bit depressed. I'm very impressed actually with what's happening over in New York at the moment. Yeah, you've got Eric Adams.
Let's take a break because, as I said, I'm gasping because, as you said, it's rah, rah, rah. America's got the right idea on this score. We've got to take a break and we'll be back with more You Be the Judge in a moment.